Hey you guys, it's me, Faith Cawthon-Green, and I wasn't planning on going live again today, but I feel like there is something that God wants me to share with you guys about the season that we're in, and just about some experiences that I've had with God, and what I believe that God is doing right now in this season. We are in a season of the supernatural. Well, the supernatural is always in season, let's be clear. But God is doing something new, something that we've never ever seen before. Hey Coleman, you're on. Can you hear me? Let me just do a quick sound check. Can you hear me well, Coleman? But we're in a season where God is doing something new that we've never seen before. He's showing up and moving and shifting things in a way that we have yet to see. And I was talking about this. I taught Bible study a few weeks ago about sonship. And I was talking about the fact that we often flip the script, or we allow the world to flip the script because we allow people to tell us that the supernatural is crazy. So if you believe in miracles and signs and wonders, and you believe that things can happen outside of the practical, the world will tell you that you're crazy. If you believe that God can move supernaturally on your behalf, and that you have divine favor, and that the processes that the world says you have to go through in order to obtain things, positions, opportunities, that you believe that can come to you without going through what the world says the process is, then the world tells us that we're crazy, when it really should be the other way around. The supernatural should be the norm. But because we have gotten to the space where we move so much in the practical, where we look for God to show up so much in the practical, we have limited ourselves in what is actually available to us as sons and daughters of God. And God's supernatural favor is available to us. The storehouse of heaven is available to us, but we're so busy listening to what the world says we have to do in order to obtain what we need, to what the world says we're limited to based on how much education we have, based on how much experience we have, based on how much money is in our bank account. We believe all of those things. And when we have the nerve to have a great level of faith, we allow people to tell us that we're crazy and we're radical because we believe God for something that we've never seen him do before. And so we have got to get out of this mindset where we allow the world to flip the script, because the supernatural is normal. It's supposed to be normal because we are sons and daughters, and we can operate in it regularly. That's right, Tyrone. It's called faith. We can operate in it regularly, but we have allowed the world to tell us that we are crazy when we believe God for healing, when we believe God for supernatural provision, when we believe God for greater access, for platforms, for when we believe that God can put us in a position without having the criteria that the world says we can have. And we have to get to a space where we are no longer allowing the world to dictate to us what is available. We are in a season where restoration and reconciliation and reparations are available to us. And we have got to get to the space and the mindset and the level of faith that will allow us to tap into it. That's right, Tyrone. You're prepared to lose family and friends behind having true faith. And I'm going to tell you what, in my experience, I have. I've had people who I love dearly tell me that I'm crazy. I've had people that I love dearly tell me that I'm out of touch with reality, and you know what? I'm okay with that. I want to be out of touch with reality because reality is the limitations. And I believe that I walk under a limitless source. God is my source, and his resource is limitless. And so I believe that, and I don't care if people call me crazy. I don't care if they call me radical. I don't care, because you know what? God is showing up in my life in a way that nobody has ever seen before, and I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe that wholeheartedly. And so I came on here to share some things that I believe, well, that I've already seen God do in my life in a supernatural way. But I know that God is taking me even to another level of access to the supernatural in this season. And so I'm going to release that, because I'm going to tell y'all what God said to me, so that when you see it, you understand that God is all powerful, that God has no limitations, and that whatever God has said for you in your life, it is available to you. All you have to do is make a decision to tap in. It's make a decision to not listen to what the world says you have to do to get it. It's to make a decision to have a greater level of faith. I'm going to bring Coleman on so he can share his testimony too. I'm going to tell you guys, the last few years for me have been completely crazy. God put me in some very interesting positions. He has, I'm going to give you a little synopsis. So last year, I think I've said this on some of my lives, but not to the extent that I'm going to say it today. Last year, I quit my job. God said to me, I want you to leave that job. And I had been praying for a release. I liked my job, right? But I still felt trapped. I was like, I don't want to punch this time clock anymore, God. I love what I was doing. I was changing lives. I was helping people and all of that. But I was tired of being subjected to the world's standards of what they said I needed to do. I was tired of being overworked and underpaid and underappreciated. And I was like, God, I'm sick of this. I need a break. I want to be able to move on my terms. And so I left my job. And when I left my job, I thought I was leaving to start a consulting business in what I was doing, which was behavior analysis. So I'm a board certified behavior analyst. And I had already started the paperwork to establish an entity. I had a business partner. And I thought, okay, this is my plan. God said, leave this job. And this was my plan for what I thought I was going to do when I left this job. Okay, Coleman. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to leave this job. I'm going to start my own business. And God was like, oh, you're thinking too small. And you know what he said to me? He said, you're not going back to that profession. And I was like, what? Now what, God? Now what? What do you mean I'm not going back to that profession? I've been to school for this. I've gotten multiple degrees. I've studied for a board exam. I've got board certified. I have all these years of experience. He was like, oh no, you're not going back to that. I have something more for you. So I left my job, and my husband was the only, at that time, we weren't even married yet, but he was the only income that we were living off of. And so really it wasn't enough for us to pay everything, honestly. So I made a decision to leave that job and stand on and trust God for provision. And I'm just going to give y'all a small synopsis of what happened. There was some situations where we just didn't have enough to pay everything. Plus, we were in the midst of planning a wedding that needed to be paid for. Didn't know how that was going to be paid for. And God kept saying to me, don't worry, it's already done. It's already done. It's paid for. And I had to go to the venue and sign the contract on a wedding that I still had no idea how it was going to be paid for. My wedding cost $35,000, y'all. I signed a contract and I had no idea where one red cent was going to come from. God said, sign the papers. And I was like, God, but we can look for a cheaper venue. He said, no, this is the venue. Sign the papers. And I was like, but God, and he was like, nope, sign the papers. I got it. I'm telling you, every bit of that wedding was paid for. We didn't go into debt. We didn't have to take out no loans. God sent the provision for the wedding. I'll give you another example. We're living in our house, and I'm like, okay, God, how are we going to take care of all of this stuff? Like, it's too many things happening right now. Well, the water bill was due, and he said, don't pay it. I'm like, wait, what? He said, don't pay it. I'm like, what? And he's like, no, don't pay it. Take that money and put it towards something else. Y'all, I got a notice in the mail in June of last year saying that the water was going to be cut off. And I said, God, now you told me not to pay this bill. He said, don't worry. It's just a piece of paper. That was in June. The water didn't get cut off. All the way to October, we didn't pay the bill. And they said they were cutting off the water in June. That water did not get cut off. When I tell you, God is a God of his word and he can provide for you supernaturally, believe what he says. I don't care what the world says. I don't care what man says. I don't care what the enemy tells you. I don't care what lies the enemy tells you. If God said he's going to do a thing, God is going to do a thing, and trust God to do what he said he is going to do. Of what is available and what God can do on your behalf. And so I'm telling you right now, the season that we're in, God is elevating people who don't have experience, who don't have education, who haven't gone through traditional process of what the world says you need to do in order to be in the position that you are about to attain. I'm going to give you another example, and then Coleman, I'm going to let you talk. I received the gift of tongues, and I received the gift of tongues, and then I started to study it more. And I read in the word, and the word was talking about how you should desire the gift of prophecy. And the gift of prophecy, because the gift of prophecy is an edifying gift. It edifies the body of Christ. And so I began to pray, and I said, God, I want that gift. And in the matter of a year and a half, 2 years, God has pushed me fully. He pushed me into a process that would allow me to operate in that gift, but he pushed me fully into it. That is the divine favor of God. Let's see what you say, Corey. People that have been forgotten about and thrown away, those are the people that God will put the blessing in. You sure right, Corey. You're so right. The people that have been overlooked, the people that have been undervalued, the people that have been abused, the people that people say, oh, they're not anybody. They don't have anything. There's nothing special about them. Those are the very people that God deems as special. Those are the very people that God is about to elevate, because God has to show people that he is return to him void. Go ahead, Coleman. Coleman, can you hear me? Coleman, Coleman,
Yeah, I think
Coleman,
my
can you
signal
hear
must
me?
be back. Can you see me? Can you catch me? Barely. Can you hear me
Yeah,
now?
I can hear you now. Okay, go ahead. Yeah,
Yeah, something weird was happening.
go ahead.
I guess where do we? I guess in connection to what, being somebody who's been overlooked and being a person who has, has been used in such a unique way, in even harsh ways, in the business of music. I was in the music industry for. I've been in the music industry for almost 17 years of my life. And about 10 years ago, I was in a situation which, in essence, was something involving my own internals of self worth. People played on that issue of being able to take advantage of what I didn't see was worth to me. Drained myself out of the business, fell out with a mentor of mine at the time, ended up in California, only to discover a few things about myself regarding manhood. Ended up homeless, ended up in situations, very uncompromising situations. But to sum it all up, I had to go to California to get my head right in regards to who I was personally, so that I can come back into a situation to walk in the purpose that God has for me. So to speed everything up into my now, because I feel like God wants me to share a testimony of my now to prepare you for what He's about to do with me later. And so here it is. I was in California, but now I'm back in Georgia. Been back in Georgia for 9 months. But the very interesting situation is He's brought me back to the place where I was broken,
Mm-hmm.
around the atmosphere and the people uh, that I allowed to put me in a position of unworthiness, and or have fueled my unworthiness, I should say. Because I just don't want to blame people. I also want to be of sort of my own circumstances, and admit the fact that there was areas of my life that were my fault too. So they only fueled what I allowed. You know what I'm saying? That atmosphere took from me. So God sends me back to that same space to get my healing. So imagine God telling you that you have to serve in that same atmosphere with diligence, with your whole heart, no disdain, no animosity, no hurt, none of the things that would fuel what you were in before. So imagine God telling you that through that services would bring about your deliverance and understanding your worth. So here it is, you're serving with the very things that you didn't have before, only to come out of it with that plus some. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to the outside world, I'm pretty sure, and this is not something that I say I looked at myself as, but I've served at the capacity. I'm the guy that would make a beat, make a hot record, and be the one to take out the trash and chauffeur people around in the car, like servant leader like type stuff. So to the outside world, I could have looked like an intern. I done been babysitting. I done chauffeured people around. I done been carrying people's bags. I've been the bellhop. I've been the janitor. I've been everything that I've possibly been in the very atmosphere that broke me. You see what I'm saying? So I want y'all to just wrap your mind around what God could possibly be doing when you have accepted that atmosphere, because God has told you to serve with a diligence, and you're not serving for them, you're serving for God. In the same atmosphere, I'm going to repeat that, in the same atmosphere that took you away from your identity, it broke you down, it shook you up, and it took you all the way out, right? To now coming to this point. So now that I've served with that level of diligence, with my whole heart, not lacking anything. I moved when I didn't get paid. I moved when I did get paid. Nothing changed at the capacity of my service. Nothing that the people or the circumstances or my atmosphere did change how well I served, how much I served, what I needed to do to serve. You see what I'm saying? Hold on just a second. They in the garage. So all of that, nothing changed. Then God says you passed the test. So I'm here to tell you it's one aspect of the things that God is showing me after this experience. You know what I'm saying? He's telling me to have a level of expectation. So I'm going to speak with the expectation that it appears as we're on this live. My wife is on because of my due diligence and my acts to serve at the capacity, unwavering, it matches up to me even having the capacity to move into a area where I'm ready to be the same energy. I'm in marriage, no matter relationship fluctuates, no matter my ability to serve people actually watched what I did, and they said to themselves, why would a person, why would he still serve if he in their eyes being treated a certain way? I wasn't paying attention. I was treated because all I could think about was what God was saying, what he wanted me to do. The satisfaction was the obedience, right? So in that acts of service, it has drawn in people to to want to serve me. Obedience puts you in a position because they seen you serve. They will want to serve you because if you serving a person like that, if you a situation like that, is there anything wrong? Hello? Must be a bad signal. Bad signal. Hello? I don't know. I'm gonna try to keep going. So if you could serve at that extreme capacity, the people that was watching me serving in that capacity, it's like it's something about the heart about this man, something about the heart of this man that could serve at that capacity. Hello?
Okay. About what he was saying about service. You have to at some point be at the tail in order to come.